Why were you guys in after the game?
Did you leave?
I was there earlier for some interviews.
Yeah, I saw you early.
I was at a concert. So
I was interviewing Nathan Bannister.
I made Devin be the sacrificial lamb for you. So
he was fine.
Oh yeah,
he was good.
He learned. He's learned his lesson.
No,
So with a game like that, do you just sort of flush it and say like, "This is not us," or is it indicative of slump or something?
Yeah, I think you do flush it for sure. Do I think it's not us? Not necessarily. I think that it was 8-8, and Tony went out, Pluta, and didn't pitch his best, but we still were. We're literally a ball hits the wall, or just above Emilio's glove, from going in, losing down 9-8. And then at that point, when we brought Kyler in, I made the decision, not Kevin or John. I made the decision that we weren't going to use any more of our bullpen guys, just for the pure fact I want them 100% for this weekend. So we went to the freshmen, who I thought would pitch better, and they didn't. So it's indicative of what we have to do to get them better, which is not a bad thing for them to learn that, maybe what I've been doing is not good enough.
When you look at a situation like that, why don't you think were they not ready, for those situations?
Yeah. Maybe so. Yeah, that's we talked about a lot this morning. To be honest with you, we've exhausted every avenue of it, and some of it is, maybe they were just shocked they were in the game. We haven't used them. We just felt like at Washington, we pushed on a lot of our relievers. I did. I felt this way. I don't know if Kevin felt as much as I did, but we pushed hard with guys pitching twice on the weekend, and I just know how important the Pac-12 games are, and I think if we would have used some of our guys that we've been using a lot of, maybe we can stay in the game. But boy, they were hot, and they were hitting everything. Didn't matter who was pitching.
Some injury updates. Do you expect either Richie or Easton to be available this weekend?
No.
How bad is it for Easton? Is it the same hamstring he injured?
No, it is not. It's the other hamstring, and it's way better than we thought when it happened. Okay. So we're hoping that maybe by Oregon State, maybe who knows? Knock on wood, maybe, or Utah. Who knows?
Okay. What about Richie?
Richie is he feels great. He's not really been able to do anything with the team because the doctors don't want him to do anything active yet. So once he gets the okay from the doctor, we're hoping this week he can get back on the field. Now he won't, like I said, won't be ready for Stanford, but maybe for Utah.
Is that a concussion or an
No.
injury?
It's got he has a little issue in the sinus, some broken bone. They just want it to heal before he gets going.
Well, you've had the good fortune of some of your bench guys, the depth stepping up. First Maddox moving into the field, but then Andrew taking that DH spot, TJ in left field. How helpful has it been to have that depth and that it's not as much of a drop-off as it could have been?
Yeah, it was great in Washington. I thought TJ had fantastic at-bats. Kane's hit all year. I mean, it's interesting where, sometimes guys, you won't play them for a week, you put them in, and their at-bats are really suffer for it. And it doesn't matter if he sits for a week, 2 weeks, he goes in there and gets a hit or hits the ball hard. So he's a natural hitter, and we're excited to get more at-bats out of him. He's going to be a big guy down the stretch.
What did you see in Andrew when you were recruiting him, and how has that translated?
Yeah, well, once he decommitted from Washington State, we had seen him in the area code tryouts when he was a commit to Washington State, and we're kind of like, because I wasn't here yet, but like, wow, where did this guy come from? Ironwood Ridge, no one had really heard of him in our group. So I was kind of bummed out, like, man, we missed out on a good Tucson kid. And then when he decommitted, we were excited to get a chance to talk to him. And first of all, has such a quality family, quality kid, hard worker, good student, all those things that you look for in a college student athlete. So it's been great. I mean, he's learning how to play first base. It's been a little rough on him. He was a third baseman, shortstop in high school. So we're hoping, in the future, he's our guy, whether it's first base, third base, or, somewhere in that lineup.
Can you get a really good assessment of weekend Stanford, playing him in the one game that you did up there, or is it mostly you're looking at the tape of the conference games?
Yeah, no doubt. It really wasn't a good look. They were struggling at the time. They had no pitching left. their first two pitchers are really good. The Matt Scott might be the first pitcher taken when his draft year comes up. So it's going to be exciting to see him in this ballpark against Jackson Kent. Lim has been really good for him, left-hander, and left-handers have been tough on us. So it's going to be a completely different team. They're swinging the bats much better. So it's a good challenge for us.
When it comes to the struggles that maybe the bullpen's been having lately, do you think that you need the starters to go another inning or two, even though they've been going 5+ every game? Do you maybe need them to get into the 7th?
No, I think that's a bad message for me even to think that, because I think that we have good arms. They've thrown well. As we get to the spring, we get hotter. The field gets harder. Wherever we're playing, runs are going to be given up. We just got to live with that. No one's going to throw shutouts and no hitters at High Corbett Field. It's tough. It's really tough. So we just have to live with some runs here and there, and we have to score more. But we're very happy with the length our starter. If we can get 5 or 6 out of them every outing, we'll be in good shape.
Is Andrew kind of forcing his way into the lineup?
Yeah, he has. He definitely has. Whether it's DH or first base, we have to make that assessment every day. Tommy's been almost like a stopper on defense, right? With his defense at first base. And Blake McDonald has swung the bat so well that he's kind of pushing. So we got some guys pushing, and I have to kind of, manage it and push the right buttons against the right pitchers.
I've heard you say that you like guys who play multiple sports in high school.
Yes.
Andrew Kane was a really good basketball player. But when you do that, maybe you miss out on some opportunities, right, to expose yourself or go to camps or whatnot.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that that topic, and also with him specifically?
No, I'm fully for players playing multiple sports. I think it makes them better athletes. It helps their feet. It helps a lot of things. Does it maybe hurt them in the rankings and all those if you don't go to enough tournaments? He did play on a lot of good teams, a lot of good travel teams, so he didn't miss out. Basketball is probably the sport because it's in the winter when things aren't really going on. It's the football guys that usually miss out on a lot of that stuff. But I'm definitely a multi-sport guy. For him, I think it helped him a ton. First of all, basketball is a tough sport. I mean, you're out there and you're shooting, and it's. I think that's why he's so mentally tough.
How did the recruitment of Xavier go? Was there a thought like, oh, this guy's going to Stanford? Was he open to other options?
Yeah, we saw him at the area code games our first year. We were over there, and he was a gamer. He played the game the right way. Obviously, he's got the bloodlines. And it was pretty well known that he wasn't not going to go play for his dad. I mean, it just was something that they didn't – I don't think on either side they wanted that. He kind of wanted to – I wanted to give him his dad's number here. And he didn't want to have it. So there was obviously he wants to forge his own way. Another great student athlete, and has been so good for our team in many ways, and we hope in the future we'll get more playing time.
Well, and that's another one that when you've needed to plug him into somewhere, he's fit in that.
Right.
And is that maybe a big difference for this team on the offensive side than your first 2 years, that when you get past the starting 9, your 10, 11, 12, 13 have been a better quality, so that if you need to fill them in?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because if you think about last year, right, it was hard for Emilio Corona to get in the lineup.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we had Summerhill sitting on the bench, and Emilio with Casagrande starting. So I think at certain positions it's always going to be different. But I think Maddox getting the opportunity to play some third has been super good for him.
Speaking of Summerhill, are you concerned at all? Is he pressing?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think, I went through it last night, and then we talked about it after the game, but I showed him, I said, well, here's Grand Canyon's lineup. I said, senior, sophomore, redshirt senior. I said, these guys have played a lot of baseball games, and they're really good hitters, and they're very impressive. I said, we're sophomore, freshman, redshirt freshman, sophomore. I said, that's kind of why we press. Guys get panicky. They it's not just Summer, it's a lot of guys. They go 0 for 4, they go for 8, they 1 for 12, and then they think they're in a slump. They don't realize Shohei Ohtani just did that last week.
Chip, had a chance to talk to Toby DeMello yesterday. What was right about him for a promotion to the full-time staff after his first 2 years as a volunteer here?
Yeah, well, he's just unbelievable with the offense. He's great with the hitters. He develops, I always say the best coaches develop really good relationships with their players, and he's done that throughout his 3 years here. He was very loyal to us. He had an opportunity to go other places. So when that third, paid assistant came open, then I definitely wanted him to be the guy.
While the bullpen has been struggling, one guy hasn't, and that's Tonko in this new role.
Yeah.
And he hasn't given up a run, I don't think, since he's kind of become a one-inning guy. What are you seeing from him in that position?
Yeah, it was kind of the same thing we saw as a starter. If you look back at a lot of his starts this year, especially, his first inning was okay. He was throwing it hard. He was ripping that slider, and then he sort of would get into a little bit of a rut. So when we went to the 1 inning, or maybe it becomes 2 innings, in a big game, who knows? Or maybe it's 4 outs. He has been super impressive. The velocity's stayed up. He pitched twice in the Washington series, and the velocity was good, and the slider was tight. So we'll just keep going with it.
Yeah, maybe last year that ninth inning at Washington gets away from him.
Yeah, for sure. The leadoff hit by Arquette.
Leadoff hit,
and then all of a
maybe
sudden,
getting squeezed,
right.
and then he's got second and third,
Right.
and he just kind of works out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see that from him out on the mound, that he's just like, whatever?
I think he just is locked in. Whether it's whatever, or he's just able to let it roll off his back. But he's a lot more locked in right now. And I give all the credit to Kevin. He's done such a good job of sort of molding him into that guy.
Awesome.
Good.
Thanks, everybody.